Hello, everyone. I am going today to talk about a few different things. I'm going to be talking about advocating for yourself, dealing with changes, and dealing with loss. I may not get a chance to do them all right now because I may have to do this again. Start this over because I do have a counselor coming in soon about 12 o'clock, and it's already 11:30. But we will see how much time we have uh, to talk about all these things. So, um, right now, I want to talk about advocating for yourself because it is very important that you get what you want. Okay, so if you're in, let's say, a group home or in different types of services that you work with people with disabilities, there is a right way and a wrong way to do that. So I may share with you a few. Um, Sorry, I needed my coffee. I may share with you a few stories and things that happened to me, and would be the reason why I want to do this video and why I want to put this out there, because there is a right way to deal with clients and there's a wrong way to deal with clients, and there's a right way to work with them and there's a wrong way to work with them, and I want to talk a little bit about that today. So I may have to break this video up into parts depending on how long I have, so I may have to start this over soon. But I would like to get through this as much as I can before I have to end it, and then I may do a second part to talk about these things as well. But so we're gonna get right into it. And so, um, like I said, the reason why I am doing this is because I've had a lot of things happen to me, and um, some things were dealt with right away, and other things weren't dealt with right away. So, and some things I kind of held back on because I wasn't sure how to deal with it. So, I think I may talk about the worst of it first and then the not so worst after. That way you can kind of compare to, what's happening. So, a long time ago, um, I was working with a different company that I had now, and I was working with someone. We're gonna call her Linda, not real name. I'm changing names because of privacy. So I was working with Linda for a little while, or she just started working with me. We're shadowing and all that, and she was doing good on her shadowing, but she was still entering the same way, going to the kitchen, putting her stuff in the kitchen, not even asking me if she can, do any of that, sitting down, writing in her notebooks. Like, I don't even know what those notebooks are for, and are going on her tablet. So the first thing is, you don't go into someone else's house and go in their kitchen, put your lunchbox in the refrigerator, go through their cupboards to get out what you need. You're supposed to ask first, but she didn't do that. Okay, moving on. So that very same day, we took a drive. I asked her if she did her mileage. Why do I need to do my mileage? Well, you want to get paid, don't you? And then she started telling me about the different people that she was working with, and telling me what she was doing with them during the day. And I said, excuse me, I'm not trying to be rude, but technically you're not supposed to be telling me about the people you are working with. That's a number one. Number two, it's a HIPAA violation because there's confidentiality, and if she's working with somebody else, you're not supposed to tell your client who you're working with or the other people you are working with what you're doing with them and all that. So it's it's common courtesy for one, and number two, like I said, if anyone heard about that, they would not be too happy about that. So I just kind of let it go after that. And then we went out to lunch, and we came back, and I turn around and her hand is in my lunch bag, and I'm looking at her like, dude, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, well, I was just getting your straws and napkins out. And I'm like, number one, no, you're not. You're going for my fries, which I do not appreciate. And number two, I said, I really don't. And how I know this, well, for one, how I know this is because before, when we went out to eat, we asked her if she wanted anything. She said yes, but if she thought we were paying, she said no. So that was not okay to do. And so basically, I was just like, okay, this is not okay. And then after that, we went grocery shopping because I had a doctor's appointment, but I wanted to do my grocery shopping before my doctor's appointment. That way I wasn't wandering around wondering how much time I had and worrying, am I going to get done on time? So we did it beforehand. And again, I'm like, can you get out of my bubble? And so we went grocery shopping. We're getting ready to leave the store, and she's putting the groceries back in the car. And I'm like, do you think we need bags first to put the? She's like, oh yeah, I forgot. And then, so we did that, and then I'm just like, okay. And then she started taking off, and I'm like, hello. You have someone with you? Can I at least have the cart or my cane back so that I can leave the store? Oh yeah, I forgot you were there. And I'm thinking to myself, seriously? Like, she forgot that she had a client that she was working with the whole time in the grocery store. Oh my, something's not right upstairs. So I'm gonna move that over. So after that, we came back, put groceries away, And then I thought, okay, why don't we go out for ice cream? Because I thought it would be a good treat for us. And then the second thing is going to shock you. And technically, you're not supposed to be doing this. So we went out for ice cream. I sat in the car. She shut the doors and she locked me in. The windows are still up, and it's very hot outside. I want to say it was like 80 something, almost 90 something out. And she locked me in her car uh, with the windows up. Also, she could smoke a cigarette. And I didn't think that was I that was not okay, because it's a hot day out. You wouldn't want to lock, you know, your kids in the car or a dog in the car on a hot day. What makes you think it's okay to lock your client in the car just so you can smoke a cigarette? It's not okay. And then, so I did. Uh, so when we came back, I asked about so I called one of the ladies that were taking me to my doctor's appointment, and she said that she was in the hospital and asked me if anyone told me about it, and I said no. If I knew that that was going on, I would have not called her and I would have canceled my doctor's appointment. So basically, we talked, and I told her not to worry about it. I was going to change my appointment. And then, actually, hold on. Let me use the bathroom. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. I'm sorry. I didn't think that was going to take me long. Sorry about that. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. So I so anyway, like I said, I got off the phone with her and I called my doctors and not and I explained to them that the person that was supposed to bring me was in the ER. I didn't have a ride over. Is there any way I could change my appointment? And they're like, yeah, sure, that's fine. So we did. And then when I got off the phone with them, and so uh, so then when I got the phone, and then when they're like, oh, well, I could take you to your appointment. And I'm like, well, number one, it's far away. And number two, I just about already missed it. So technically, I would have had to reschedule anyway. She's like, well, if we leave now, we can make. She was not getting it that my appointment was already almost over, and it was still about a good amount of ways far away. So I'm just like, okay, so we can sit down here. Well, we did some cleaning. We sat down here and we did some, I want to say, we played some board games. And so, and then we sat down and played games over here. And then she was here but not here. She really wasn't interested in playing games. She wasn't interested in talking unless it was about her. And she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, now go away. I'm too tired. Go away. You can go sit down. Go do something. Go away. I'm too tired." And then I'm like, "Is she shooing me away? Like, what the heck has happened here? You don't do that when you're working with a client. You work with a client and you do what they want to do. It's not about the staff person. It's about the client and what the clients need, not what the staff needs." So, excuse me. So, basically, we talked about, and I'm sitting like, is this really happening? And then, about, I want to say about 10 minutes, she left 10 minutes early. She was up, she was energetic, and she was, excuse me, out the door. And then I am thinking to myself, do I really want her back? Because number one, she wasn't interested in working with me. Number two, she just wanted to sit here, play on her tablet because technically you're really not supposed to be on the phone with a client. You're supposed to be working with them unless it's has to do with work. If you're let's say your supervisor's calling you, or if it has to do with another client, or some type of work, it's okay to get the phone, or it's another staff person needed to talk to you about a client, that is also okay. If there's a family emergency, also okay. But it's not okay to sit there talking to your relatives, talking to whoever on the phone while you're sitting here the whole time. You're supposed to be working with your client, not talking on the phone. So, and then I actually asked about why, and so it was very, very hard for me to do. And then when I tried calling Linda's supervisor to let her know what's going on, it was like, oh, I couldn't get a hold of her. I had a hard time getting a hold of anybody to talk about what was going on. And then I had to call the person back that was in the ER to let her know what was going on. And I was just like, I am so sorry. So-and-so is not picking up. I said, this is what happened today. This is what's going on. I apologize that I'm calling you, but you're the only one I can get a hold of right now. And she's like, okay, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of that tomorrow. No worries. And then I get a phone call back from the person I couldn't get a hold of asking me why I didn't want that person. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. Excuse me. You got to be kidding me. Sorry. After all I've said about her, and they expect me to work with her, like, I was not happy about it, for one. And number two, I just said, I said, no one wants to work with her. And, part of me felt bad, but part of me was like, not feeling bad because she's a nice woman. She was a nice woman, but she really didn't have the proper training to work in this. If she had the proper training, then maybe. I mean, showing up late, and then they had her working with other people. No one wanted to work with her. And then they had her working with people who couldn't speak up for themselves, the nonverbal people. And I was just like, well, how is that fair? Because, I mean, if this person depends on her to get out of bed, using the bathroom, and having someone feed them, and is dependent on somebody. If she's supposed to be there at 9 o'clock and she doesn't get there until 10 or 11, that's not fair to the person that is, if they need medication, that's not fair to the person that's depending on this person to show up. It's not fair. Okay? And then, okay, I'm going to be moving on to another person. Okay, so this person's name is Dylan, and she's a female, not real name. It's close to her name, but it's not real name. Like I said, For privacy reasons, I am trying to change the names of the people for their privacy and all that stuff. So, and she works at the same place that uh, I'm going through now. It's a new company. I had one person that I had with was a very nice lady, but she was only part-time. I wish I had her back. She was awesome. Uh so and I enjoyed her. But then I got Bellin. Not Bellin, Dylan. Sorry, Dylan. And so when I had her, everything was okay until it started ending up to what she wanted. And basically, some of the things that happened with her was not okay because, for one, uh, if you have a client that has medical needs, then you need to tend to that client's medical needs. Don't ignore their medical needs. Because that also is not okay to ignore someone's medical needs. When you're working with that person, you need to be able to tend and make sure your client's medical needs are met. Okay, so okay, getting into the story. When I first had Dylan, sorry. When I first had Dylan, we started off okay. And then I had her for a couple of weeks, almost a month. I want to say a couple of weeks. And so, and then things started changing with her. And I'm trying to figure out why things were changing with her. And then all of a sudden, and this is the summertime. And I'm going to tell you what's not okay. So we used to go, I have severe asthma. So I used to walk around in the air conditioning and the stores because sometimes a lot of being outside triggered my asthma. And plus, some of my medications, I can't be outside too long in the sun. So we'd be walking around the store. Are we done yet? Can we leave now? Kind of thing. Like, can we go outside now? Like, she was constantly complaining about being inside a store. And then we left the store and we went to another store and the same thing, complaining. And then so we left the store and we're getting ready to go to we were leaving the place we were leaving and the area we were leaving. So and it was like, okay, things are okay. And then so basically what happened is so I had to use the bathroom. And she's like, well, you're gonna have to wait, because she was doing something. And I'm like, no, I have to use the bathroom now. because I don't mind sharing on what I have. So I needed to use the bathroom, and she's like, "No, you're gonna have to wait." And then she made me wait a whole hour to use the bathroom. And then when we get back to my house, I had to change because I had an accident because I couldn't hold it. And I was very, very upset about this because that should not have happened. And then we get back into the area where I live in, and so and then I'm like, well, it's about lunchtime, and I'm like, well, we should be able to eat lunch now. Oh, it's not time yet, and I'm like, what do you mean it's not time? I need to eat lunch. Well, I'm not hungry yet. Well, it doesn't matter if she's hungry or not. I'm a diabetic. I need to eat because if I don't eat, my sugars drop. And so, uh, basically, I said, I need to eat. Well, you need to wait. And it's like, I can't wait. Uh, my sugars were dropping to begin with, and I could feel it. And so when she got her lunch, okay, well, I'm eating now, so now you can eat. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're eating or not. I still need to eat. Like right now, like, look, I have a diabetic bracelet, and I was showing her that. I said, I have diabetes and I need to eat something. My sugars are getting low. And when my sugars get low, it's not good because then I just develop symptoms when I have low blood sugar. And so, um, basically, we talked about that. Um, and then we're sitting outside coloring. Uh, and then I said, well, I need to go inside because the heat was starting to get to me. Um, and she's like, "No, you're okay. You're all right." And she started coloring some more, and I'm like, "No, we need to go inside because I'm not feeling well." "Oh no, you're okay. You're all right. You're fine. Don't worry. You're okay." And I'm like, "No, I am not okay." I could feel myself wheezing, and I started using my inhaler, and I started. I had to use my inhaler uh, 4 times, maybe 5, when we were outside because the heat was getting to me. I had to drink a lot of water, and things were getting bad. And it's like, I'm like, can we please go? Oh no, you're fine. She had me sitting outside 4 hours so she can color. So basically, those are some of the extreme things that are not okay. Um, and I did report her to her supervisor, and I did let her supervisor know because she didn't want to work with me because every time she came in, oh, well, I can't wait until the end of this week because I think it was either Friday or Thursday. I can't wait until Friday or Thursday because then I don't have to come back here anymore. And then I'm like, are you seriously saying that? Like, even though that's what it is, and even though that's how you feel, you should never say that to a client because it makes your client feel bad, like they feel like, you know, they're not appreciated, or it makes the client feel like they did something wrong. They didn't do anything wrong, but like I said, you never say that to somebody. You know, that's wrong. But anyway, so oh, Chrissy, what did you do? Wow, she is late. Did I get an email from her? Well, I didn't get any text or a phone call from her. So maybe she's on her way. I don't know. But anyway, so but yeah, those are the two that are really not okay to do. And I know that sometimes yeah, sometimes I wonder what's happening, but those are some things that are not okay. Um, People who shouldn't be working in this field, and those two people that I mentioned, those are it. If you can't respect the client, or if you can't take care of the client like you're supposed to, then maybe you shouldn't work in this type of field. So, but now, sorry about that. Moving on. Uh, but now, so like with Ian, not Ebron, Ian. Sorry. Ian is another name that I'm using, not real name. And I did do a video a while back. Not about, well, I think it's called like Bad Staff. It's the do's and don'ts. And I did do a video about what he does and what, but I mean, he was not a bad guy. He just was overworked. And I think that if he wasn't working for the other company, and if he did have the proper training and wasn't that very I think he would have done okay in this field. That's what I feel right now. But so yeah, that is what I do feel right now. Is I'm sorry. I'm wondering where my counselor is because she's running a little bit late today. Unless we had a Zoom meeting that I didn't know about, maybe I may check in a few minutes. But this is not like her to be late, unless she was waiting on the storm. But anyway, so we were okay. Getting back to what I was talking about. So, and like I said, he wasn't a bad staff. He did do he did help me. If yeah, he did was helpful for the most part. But the only things that I had issue with is keeping him awake and uh keeping him off the phone while he was working with me. Uh but sometimes to me, I think he needed the phone to stay awake because he kept falling asleep, and it was nothing bad. The reason why he was falling asleep is because he did it in a week overnight. When they do overnights where he works, it has to be awake. You have to stay awake for the client. And then, so that made me a little nervous when he was driving, when he was so tired. I did bring up a few things to his boss about it, or his supervisor. And they did talk to him about the falling asleep, and they did talk to him about being on the phone. They made designated times for him to be on the phone. But he did change for the most part, but still, he was still, I want to say, falling asleep and using the phone. So one day, apparently, he didn't come in, so I was wondering what was happening, and then I get a text message letting me know why he wasn't coming in. So but yeah, I got a text message on why he wasn't coming in. Uh and then after that, things were okay. They found a couple of people for me that worked okay for me. So I got two new staff people named, we're going to call them Sandy and Mark. But before I get into the good people, I want to talk about the not so good people still. So when Sandy went on vacation, I had another person that came in that and she was okay for the most part. I had her for 3 days. The first day we cleaned and everything was okay, I guess. The second day she came in, we had a little bit of a hard time when she came in. But the third day she came in and it was a very hard day. So the third day she came in, we went out, did my running around. I went to the dollar store. When we went to Martin's because she wanted to do some shopping. I did not think that was okay, so I brought that up with her supervisor. And then we went to get Jason's medication. That's my husband. And then we came back home. So when we came back here, we did emptied out the groceries, put the groceries away, and then we did some other stuff. So when we did that, we emptied out the groceries, and then I started making dinner because I was getting hungry at that point. And then I burnt myself. You can probably won't be able to see it that much, but it's like in this area. I burnt myself with a metal pan, and nothing got her attention. Not saying "ow," put that under cold water because my husband saw me and told me to put it under cold water. And he finished cooking for me, and she's just sitting there on her phone, not even acknowledging or paying attention that that's what happened to me. So I was a little upset on that part. So give me a second. I need to get some water. So we had a little bit of conversation on that. I don't think Michelle's coming in today. But anyway, we did have a conversation about that. And so we did because she didn't acknowledge that I burnt myself. She just looked up and said, "Oh, you needed a break," and then she's back on her phone. So after she left, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I liked you, and I'll let them know that, and maybe could do some shifts when I need a fill in or something." And she left. When she left, I'm looking at my husband like I'm not having her back here again because she didn't really help me at all. Um, and I just really felt like she wasn't a good fit for me. And so and I really didn't like uh, there were some things I did like, and there were some things I didn't like about her. And so when I was working with Mark, because he's one of my staff that comes in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, excuse me, and we were in going grocery shopping, and he's like, "Well, Donna's texting me, asking me, Donna, not real, is not her real name, but that's a supervisor, uh, asking me if you want uh, this other lady. We'll call her Stacy. Not real name, and she's asking me if you want her." And I was like, so I really didn't answer because I was still thinking about it. And then we got back here, and I was actually gonna call Donna, and then Mark's like, "Hang up the phone," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Hang up the phone. I know you're gonna say yes to her. Hang up the phone." And I'm like, "Okay." So I hung up the phone, and he was like, "I want you to think about this for a minute, uh, because it seems to me like you don't want to have her, but because you feel obligated, you're gonna say yes." And um, so he was like, "I really want you to think about that." And he was like, "I know you don't like her and you don't want to have her." And so I was sitting here with him and my husband, and I was asking my husband what his opinion was on it. And he really didn't care for her either because of the whole emergency thing, not responding when I hurt myself and things like that. And then he's like, "But do you, uh, he's like, how do you really feel about her?" And I said, "I really didn't like her because of some of the things that happened with me." And he's like, "Well, I want you to think about that. And then maybe tomorrow, either text or call or send an email to them, or basically either texting or calling them to let them know that. Let them know what happened, why you don't want them, and if they do want to give you add another person to your another staff person to your schedule, then it doesn't have to be her. It can be somebody else. It doesn't really, they're looking to fill hours. So it really doesn't have to be that particular person. They can look for somebody else." And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm thinking to myself, he's right. I don't really like her. And some of the things were off to me, and I just feel like she wasn't here for me. She was more here for the money. And she didn't feel like she wanted to do this job, but more like she had to do the job. So she really wasn't into doing the job. So when he left, that night. I really thought about it, and then I think it was Friday morning. I got up, made my coffee. I was doing a lot of thinking about it, and then I actually so after I got my coffee and I gathered all my thoughts, I actually called Donna, who was one of the supervisors. Like I said, not real name, changing the name because I want to respect their privacy and all that. I mean, so when I'm telling my story, I'm letting you know that they're not their actual names, but to the story, I want to be able to tell it with names. So, but anyway, back to the story. So when I called her and I just basically told her everything that happened. I said, the first day worked out, but the thing is, it's like when she was sitting here, she's like, I don't do laundry, I don't put things together, I don't do, like, she was telling me things she didn't do. And I'm like, well, number one, I never asked. And number two, it doesn't matter what you don't do. What matters is if it's a client's goal or if a client needs your help with something, you still technically have to do it, even though you don't want to do it. She was telling me about the mileage and about, well, I really didn't say anything to her about that, but anyway, moving on. So I didn't mention that part of it about, we did some cleaning and all that the first day. And then the second day, I'm like, well, now I have nothing to do with her. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out what to do with her. Jason and I had ordered Chinese food because around this time, about 3:30, 4 o'clock, as when she came in, that person came in, and we were sitting here eating, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out what to do with her. She's like, well, I can just sit here and get paid and not do anything. And I'm like, well, technically, that is not how it works. You have to be working with someone to get paid. And so I went over, we played a few games while I was trying to think about what can we do. And then so we got through some of that. And after we got through some of that, it was time for her to leave. I was like, okay, bye. Like, when you play in a game, you don't know how fast time goes by, and it goes by pretty fast when you're in a game. So, and then on the third day, I was telling her that, again, she got here between 3:30, 4 o'clock. I was making a shopping list because I wanted to go to the dollar store because I needed some cleaning supplies and I needed a few things. So we went to the dollar store and I picked up a few things, and then I picked up a couple of snacks. And then she's like, well, do you mind if I get something to eat? Because I'm hungry. And I'm like, sure, I don't mind because she needs to eat. And then um, she's like, oh, there's Martin's. Do you want to go in there? And I'm like, she's like, I've been there before this one time with another client, but do you want to go? I'm like, sure, we can go in there. She wanted to go in there to look at outfits. She didn't want to go in there because I wanted to go in there. It was her idea and she talked me into it. I have no idea how that happened, but she talked me into it. So when that happened, uh, I wasn't sure on how I felt about that. So I kept that part to myself and I let Donna know. And then I said, we went to the pharmacy. I did the pharmacy last because my husband had a medication that has to be refrigerated. So we went to go pick that up. When I got home, I put the groceries away, or he helped me put the groceries away. I put his medication in the refrigerator, and then I was thinking about, okay, what can I make for dinner? And then, so I made pork chops. I was going to turn it into a pork chop stir fry. So, and then I explained to her that when I was cooking, I lifted up the lid, and it's a metal lid, and I burnt my arm. And but I didn't get any reaction out of her, out of my staff person. My husband was the one who reacted and helped me, but she was just there on her phone. So when Jason got up, he told me to put water on the burn, and then when I did that, I was doing okay after that. And then after that, I actually was like, okay. So Jason finished up cooking for me. But that was her job. She was the one who was supposed to be helping me cooking in the first place because number one, that was part of my goal. And it was her job to help me. If she saw me in distress, it was her job to help me with that. She's like, oh, well, did you need a break from burning yourself? And then she went back to her. And then I'm like, okay, this is very awkward. And then she, because then I started eating my dinner. She's like, well, I'm going to leave a little bit early because I know you don't want me here while you're eating your dinner. So, and then she left like 10 or 15 minutes before her shift ended. So, and then Donna thanked me for my feedback and for letting them know, because they want to know what kind of staff person that they're hiring, and if there's issues, they want to make sure they take care of it. Because she is working with other clients besides me, and you never know if she's doing the same to the other clients or not. And then I asked her if there was any way I could do. I mean, at first I wasn't too thrilled about doing Tuesdays, but then I decided if I was going to do a Tuesday, then it would be a 1 to 7 o'clock, not a 1 to 7:30, because I feel 7:30 is way too long for me, and I've already got those already. So, and I already do that with another person. So, and then I asked her about working with another person besides the other girl that they wanted for the job. And they said, yeah, it's absolutely, I could work with somebody else and I wouldn't have to have her. So that kind of made me feel better. Um, but so, and then advocating for my schedule. So Mondays, I got Sandy from 10:30 to 7. Wednesdays, 3:30 to 7:30, and then Thursdays 9:30 to 2. And then Thursdays and Fridays, I have Mark from 2 to 6, and a Friday 1 to 6. So, I mean, that's a pretty good chunk of hours anyway. And then Tuesdays, depending on the person I have, it's going to be 1 to 7. But depending on what I want, and we did talk a little bit about that. So it kind of made me feel better that she was actually listening to me, uh, and all that. Uh, so basically, before I end this topic, I would like to go over what is good, okay, and what is not okay to do with staffing. Okay, so I would like to go over the things that are okay. So, if your staff person says, "I need to pick something up to eat," or "Do you mind if we're at a store? Is it okay if I get my food here, or if I get my snacks or drinks here?" Yes, that is fine, because if they're doing a long shift from morning to night, they're gonna need to eat in between. So it's okay. I mean, they'll ask their client if it's okay. Yes, it's okay for them to pick something up. Not to do a whole grocery shopping, because, but to pick up food for that day, that's fine. Uh, if they need to get gas, definitely okay. Uh, if they do need to make a phone call and it's for work related stuff, that is okay. Or if there's a family emergency, or and they needed to talk to a family member, depending on what's going on, that is okay. And they're going to get their oil change. Technically, that should be done after, but depending on if the client's okay with it, then that's okay. Getting their car washed can wait until after work, but if the client says it's okay and they get it cleared with their boss, then that is okay. So there are a lot of boundaries when it comes to certain things, like what's okay and what's not okay. So those are some of the things that are okay to do. I may not get through all of them, but I wanted to at least get through a little bit of them to show that what's okay and what's not. So what is not okay is you can't go grocery shopping when you're with the client because it's the client's time. You can wait until after shift and then go. If you need to get your car worked on, technically that should be an after work kind of thing. You don't take your clients to that. You never ever give your clients money or take money from them. Things like that. If you're working with a client and things happen and you no longer work with that client, or if you and that client leave the agency, you cannot be friends with that client. You cannot hang out after work. You cannot hang out when things end because, again, confidentiality reasons. And so when you leave the client, you kind of break ties. You can't be friends with them over Facebook. You can't go to visit them at the house. You cannot be in any contact with them whatsoever. So, and people are kind of confused about those rules, but there are rules in place for a reason. So, there are the reasons for those rules is because, even though you don't work with that client, a story about, one staff person that I used to know, and she was okay with me sharing this story. The stories that I'm sharing with you, I always get permission to share them. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm not getting permission. I get permission to share them, but I also change the names in the story so that you guys can, out of respect for people and all that. So this particular person was working with this client for a while. The client had the staff person's phone number, and she would call this person, or they would call this person obsessively. And then this person used to visit her clients all the time. And then the client expected the person to visit them all the time. And she used to get gifts to the client. So basically, there were a lot of boundaries crossed when with that particular person and the client. So that is the reason why the state and the agencies put up those boundaries for those particular reasons. And that's what I feel that happens, is they have to put up those boundaries because if not, people do get carried away. And sometimes the client does end up stalking the staff person. And so it's not just for client safety, it's for staff safety also. Um, and I want to thank that person for letting me share that story. And uh, I don't want people to think that that putting boundaries up is well, I'm sorry, I'm trying to search for my words. I'm still getting used to doing live streaming, and so I'm still a little bit nervous, but I am getting a little used to it. So far I've been doing okay, but I do still struggle with it, so bear with me. But anyway, so that's the reason why those particular rules are in place. Because you could have a client who's very low function, who doesn't understand why they can't call people, why they can't interact, or why it's not okay for them to be with or to stay in contact after the person leaves. It's very hard to explain, and that's the other reason why those rules are in place. Uh, like I said, it's more for client safety and for staff safety for that. Uh, because keeping people safe is the priority. That is the reason why staff have rules in place. So there's different things. Like if let's say if staff has a headache and I got a bottle of Tylenol or aspirin, I can't offer that to them and they can't accept it uh, because number one is taking things from clients and they're not supposed to do that. Um, and two, like I said, you're not supposed to accept things from clients anyway. So when Ian was working with me, I had offered him a Tylenol and he took it, and then come to find out that wasn't supposed to happen. So when I was talking to Donna, I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know that for those particular rules. And she's like, that's okay, but you didn't know, but the staff should have known better. So, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Staff should have known better. And I should have known better not to give him any medication. Uh, Medications cannot be shared between a staff person and a client either. Um, so if staff have a headache, they need to bring their own medications. Because you don't want there to be an issue with that either. Um, and then, well, not only that, but there can be some issues. I can't get through all the issues that I want to get through, but on this topic, but I want to share some of the stuff that I know. And so that's why I'm sharing those. Uh, So, one more story and thing before I end this particular topic. So, Sandy has a client who she works with before she comes to see me. She works with another client. So, Monday, I think, well, Tuesday was a snow day. She asked the person if she had plenty of groceries, and then she's like, "Oh, well, I can pick you something up after work." And I'm giving her the look like, "You cannot." And and then she thinks about it for a minute, and then she's talking to the person about, at the bus still running? Do you have your bus pass? Yes. Do you think you could take the bus to get your groceries and come back home? Yes. So when she hung up the phone, she's like, "Well, I hope I did the right thing." And I said, "Yeah, you did, because if, let's say, we ended our shift at 7 o'clock, you decide to go to the grocery store, pick up her groceries. You're using your own money to get her groceries. You're bringing her groceries over, get her situated, and then you go home. You won't get home until maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, because you got to get her groceries. And then, not only that, you're you're spending your own money on her food, which is a no-no. And then you're going to expect her to pay that back, which is another no-no. And then this person's going to want her to do this all the time, which is another no-no. So basically, when she got off the phone, I was explaining this to her, and I said, "You did do the right thing by saying no, uh, because of those particular reasons that I just said." And I said, "But not only that, but she doesn't want to get caught and get in trouble for doing these things. Yes, she's a good woman. She has a good heart. And she does try to fix things. And it's like, yeah, she used to work in a group home. Yes, probably she did a lot of that stuff. But where you're in working with people who live independently, you kind of have to draw a line somewhere." So, that is all I have today for that particular topic. But I did, to me, I feel like that is very important to get some of that stuff out there, because you never know if you're working with someone for the first time, if they're working with you for the first time. It's always good to know where the boundaries are drawn and what staff can and can't do, because, and making sure you advocate that, because if you don't advocate that, like I said, nothing's going to get done about it. You need to make sure that you're advocating for yourself, or advocating for whoever that needs to be advocated for. So if you have if you know someone who's being taken advantage of and you know about it, make sure you speak up and say something about it, because nothing's going to get done if you don't speak up and say something. Okay. Ugh. Sorry, I'm just a little bit. Sorry. I need to blow my nose. I don't want to do it right here, so give me a few. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to blow my nose, but I didn't want to do it on camera because that's kind of gross. So anyway, so it's like I was saying, it's very important that you get those things across. So, and there are, I mean, some people may have issues on advocating for themselves and may need a little nudge or a little help in the right direction, and that's okay. I mean, I still kind of need a little nudge in the right direction, like I said with Mark, with Stacy. Uh, he helped me with thinking about, do you really want this person? Don't say you want them just because you feel like you have an obligation. Do you really want her or not? So I said I didn't, and that they're going to find me another person now because I advocated saying I didn't want this person and this is why. So I feel that's very important for people to really think about that before talking to whoever about that. All right, so we're gonna end uh, that video on that note, and I hope that people get. I hope that people get a lot of information out of that, and you guys can ask me any questions about that. And I'll try to answer them accordingly. If you have any questions, you can let me know, and I'll try to answer to the best of my knowledge on that. But moving on, I want to talk about dealing with changes. So just recently, I can show you my apartment. I don't know. So my entertainment center is back here. So when I first, excuse me, right. So when I first showed you my apartment, or I gave you a tour, the apartment was set up a different way. So I decided to switch things around a little bit. So I got 2 pantries, and then so what we did was I took the pantry shelf that was behind me, and I turned that into my entertainment center, which you saw. The table that's over next to the window was what we were using for the TV before we turned that into a desk. So my husband and I are both sharing that. We are sharing the table as well. I do have, like, I think you saw in the hallway, 2 more boxes I had to put together, and then the 2 shelves behind me, which I've done. Uh, so, uh, and I don't deal with change very well, so it's gonna take me a while to get used to that. But I do think that once everything starts coming together, I may like it a little bit more. Um, so, but we'll see how we feel on that. So dealing with change, I do have a hard time dealing with changes. So, um, like with the apartment, I think once I get it all set up, everything is where it's supposed to go. I may get uh, used to it. It may take me a few weeks, maybe a couple months to get used to the whole setup thing. Uh, and as you could see that when I was talking about advocating, I have, like I said, a new schedule that I am dealing with, that I don't deal with change with schedules very well either. And I do tend to struggle when it comes to having a lot of that. So, too many cooks in the kitchen, I get confused a lot. So, if I'm having 3 people, I said I could only do 1 or 2 people. Now they want to add a third person. I'm still kind of iffy about that, only because, like I said, too many cooks in the kitchen. Um, and they're trying to help me. They have different ways of showing me how to do things. I get confused really easily, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. Uh, I mean, what I think once that I don't have anything to worry about because I don't have anyone on Tuesdays yet. So I'm going to enjoy it right now. But once I do get the Tuesday staff, I am going to have to think about what I'm going to do with those people. Because, I mean, Mark and I and Sandy and I already have like a thing, a system going uh, already, or a consistency going. So adding another person may take me a while to get used to them and trying to figure out what to do with them and doing a consistent, uh, figure out what to do with them. And then the other thing that's going to be hard is because I have school. We started it a once a month thing, but I'm going to need time to do my schoolwork as well. And then trying to figure out a balance of, when to do my videos. Like, I'm still doing my videos for you guys, trying to figure out what to do or when to do my videos and how that's going to work, that whole system. I still want to get back into my Facebook. I haven't done that yet. Well, I've done it a few times, but I need to get back into that Facebook page and trying to figure out, well, because like I said before, I plan on opening my own business and working on a page for that because I'm selling bean and rice bags. And so I already got so much that I have to deal with already. So I may have to slow down on a few things. And I'm already starting to feel overwhelmed. And having to change my schedule over and over and over again, oh man, it's giving me a headache. Um, so I just have to figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. And I'm sure that I will come up with something on that. But with the staffing hours, it's still going to be hard. Not only that, but on the weekends I have off. I got all this stuff, but I'm also going to need some downtime because I'm not Superwoman. And, people need to realize I am not Superwoman. So, also, to go with the next topic I'm going to talk about is we had a death in the family. So I'm still trying to get used to that change as well. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that in a few minutes here, but I wanted to get the changes out of the way. So the change meaning that, I know I'm not going to see that person anymore, but I'm going to miss that person. And so dealing with the change of that is one of the hardest changes that I am dealing with. I mean, yes, we haven't seen the person in 2 years, but I would have liked to see them again eventually, talking to them and all that. But I know that's never going to happen. So that is a big change for me. And that I want to be talking a little bit more about that. My next topic that we're going to be doing. So, like I was saying, but changes are happening everywhere. And I have had to deal with a lot of change in my life. But like I said, just recently, I had to deal with the changes to my apartment. Like I said, I am still trying to work with it. This was more of my caseworker's idea than my idea, but like I said, she talked me into it. And then I had to talk my husband into it. And I think as long as Jason could do what he wanted to do with his stuff, he was okay with it. As long as he could decorate or to change things the way he wanted to do them. And so we both got our way. So like the entertainment center has all of his figures. He put some of the stuff on that he wanted. So he was okay with that. He put all of his stuff where my desk is, but we're sharing a desk. So that's fine. Where I am, I'm going to use my sewing machine. I may have to push things over so I can use them. But I think sharing things with him, and I think including him, does help him deal with his change. Okay, well, I mean, he's still getting used to it, and it may take him a while. But like I said, once we get all this figured out, like taking the stuff out of boxes, putting them together, putting them in their right, and then putting everything in their right place, I think will help a lot. Since we're still in the middle of changing things around, and I think that is the reason why we're having a hard time dealing with it. But like I said, once we get all that done, I think we will be okay. I am sorry, I am so stuffy today. I don't know what it is. I think it's either uh, because of my allergies or dry air, not being able to open the doors all winter. There has been a lot going on with that. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take some Tylenol. My head is really starting to hurt. But I got like a sinus headache or something going on here. All that is ice. So yeah, so we got a lot going on. So yeah, the past couple of weeks or this past couple of months, we've had a lot of going on and a lot to deal with. And so, like I said, the past, I think, month or so, we're cutting into March. February 3rd is when the person passed away. And now it's kind of like March. We're in the middle of March now, and so we're still kind of trying to figure out how to deal with everything that's been going on with that. So that's a big change for us as well. Like I said, but that's mostly what we've had to deal with some changes. So before I get into the dealing with loss, I know that I wasn't going to add this in, but I wanted to throw a few things out there before I get into the last topic. Uh, so, uh, uh, so there's a few things like I said, I wanted to talk about before we head into the last topic. So basically, you guys know that I'm doing my videos. basically just recently I started adding a couple of videos to my videos. So I'm also doing my routines. With my routines are a little hard because uh, some things I can video and some things I can't video. So what I'm doing is before I do them, I go on camera and explain what I am doing uh, with that day with that person. And it's out of respect for them because some of them may not want to be on video. And like I said, I do have to respect their wishes when it comes to that. So, and then, so I started letting people know I go through my routine that day. And then once the person leaves, I let you guys know what happened that day, what got done, what didn't get done, and what's going to be doing what we're going to be doing next. So that's the first video that I'm doing. The second video and the topic I'm talking about now is how to deal with loss. So it doesn't just have to be a death of somebody. It could be any type of loss. But I did pick up the topic of dealing with people passing away first. And that is one of the topics that I'm working on right now. So, and that is the next thing we're going to be talking about. And so, I gotta use the bathroom again. I'm sorry, guys. Let me use that and I'll come back and we'll talk about this. I'm sorry. I didn't think that was going to take long, but let me put some lunch in the oven because I think the other part of my headache is I've been on this video for a while now, and um, I haven't eaten yet today, and I think my sugars are dropping. So let me grab the put something together for lunch, and then I'll be back with you. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, so sorry about that. So right now, I'm waiting for the oven to preheat so I can make myself some fish sticks. Well, anyway, before I get back into the dealing with losses, so like today for my routine, I am doing so 3 o'clock. Jason has his counseling, so Sandy and I are gonna be. I may go get a coffee. I may look around some stores. Maybe we might go for a drive. Uh, Depending on how long it takes for his appointment, and then we may come back here and do some cleaning, make some supper, and usually about 7:30 is usually when she goes and she leaves. So, and I'll let you guys know what happens or not in my normal video routine. But so that's today's routine. So anyway, I want to get into dealing with loss. And so, but if anyone has any questions on what I've talked about today, feel free to ask me. I am an open book. I can answer any questions you want me to answer. So I do have some papers here to kind of help guide me into some of these things that we are talking about. So, number one, I've done a few videos. Sorry, I need to eat something. My can't talk apparently. So dealing with loss is a big thing, and so I find that it's very important to touch on this topic. A lot of people try to avoid this topic, but I feel that it's very important that that talking about this kind of topic is very important. So that is ever since. So the reason why I started this topic and my counselor kind of talked me into doing this because I am dealing with a loss right now. Someone that I know and my husband knows passed away. So we are dealing with the loss. In order for you to, so what I decided to do is doing a video on dealing with that kind of thing. So the first video I did was dealing with loss is I talked about how I felt and how it affected me. That was the first video that I did. The second video I did was the processing of losing a family member and how I process things. And then I did a video on answering questions because I did a video on the 5 signs of grief. And so I answered on why there should be 6 and why that was important. So if you guys want to take a look at that video, you can, because it will be in my videos that I'm putting on here. I haven't put them on yet, but I will be putting them on here if you want to take a look at those videos. I did part 1 and part 2 of how people deal with grief differently. And then I did a video on healthy ways and non-healthy ways to deal with grief. And so, because there are people who deal with grief in different ways, that some are healthy and some are non-healthy. And some people ask, because I can't grieve, does that mean I'm a bad person? And the answer is no, you are not a bad person. You are grieving, in a different way. Sometimes your body has different ways of processing. So, how to deal with grief or how to process grief. So, the one thing I've noticed is people are shocked when they get the news, and then they go through the griefs of denial, bargaining, anger, depression, acceptance. Some people feel numbness when they shock, and they feel numbness when they first hear the news, and then some people avoid it altogether. So, and that is the reason why I want to talk about this kind of stuff. I know that people have issues processing, and so even though I am doing these videos, I am also taking a break and doing my other videos as well, because dealing with loss is depressing. And so I want to like break these up a bit. So I may add in some other videos. So I may drop maybe a loss video. And then I may add other videos before I do the next one, just to kind of break things up. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. The oven went off, and I'll come back and explain more. I am back. And also, I feel, people aren't going to want to watch my channel if that's all we're focusing on. So I want to focus on different parts of my channel. But I did add grief because grief is a part of life. And like I said, there are different parts of grieving, and there are different types of losses. It may not be a death, it may be a loss of something else, but we will get into those eventually. But right now we're dealing with loss. We're dealing with people passing away. And but like I said, we're breaking these up. So I may put the first video I did on loss on excuse me, on YouTube. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And then I may add a few other videos, and then I may put more on. But like I said, I want to break it up so that's not the only focus. I want to be focused on the videos that I started these videos to begin with. And yes, I may be adding other videos on, but from my counselor's perspective is that there's no running away from dealing with loss. And she thought that maybe adding these to my videos may help other people who are dealing with loss. And that is the reason why I started doing these. So, there are a few things that I'm going to go over. I'm sorry, I got my notes here to help me. So, I think the first thing I want to talk about is numbness. If I can read through these, I apologize if I mess up. So, for numbness is the absence of feeling or emotions. After you suffered a loss, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's okay to experience grief, full, or any of these feelings, meaning of loss. It's okay to feel that, you know, you don't go through any tears or any of the other feelings of loss. Your body grieves in different ways. So basically, what it is, I think your body is blocking that feeling. So the highlights is in some of these losses, people kind of feel the overwhelmed of difficulty of their emotions, but they feel numb instead. But it's okay to feel these things. It's perfectly normal. It's a reaction that typically people do deal with a lot. I may not get through all of these. If you do feel numbness from loss, it's not that you're avoiding your feelings. It's just, your body is processing and you're grieving in a different way, and your body is not ready to feel things yet, so it's protecting itself. But you may be grieving and you may be doing other things to grieve. So, and like I said, that is perfectly normal. So, and I do want people to know that it is perfectly normal. So, so the first thing I talked about is, so I got a few stories here for you, and I'm added into some of these stories. So when I first started doing these videos, so the first video I did on, and the second one I did on, so I deal with loss in different ways. I'm still feeling the denial and bargaining for the person that passed away. So I'm still kind of feeling that that's the beginning of when I found out they passed. So I was shocked at first. So I was going through shock and denial. Then I went through bargaining and denial. And then so I was like, well, Lisa went from denial to depression to anger when her grandfather passed. So she was going through a lot of feelings. Leo was depressed, going through depression and acceptance, depressed that he was going to miss that person, but accepting that the person was gone and that was his friend. Ryan was bargaining in denial over his sister's loss. So right there are different types of feelings when it comes to dealing with loss. Not everyone's going to feel the same. With Amy went through all the signs, and then she went through depression and acceptance, a loss of her best friend. So Amy went through a lot of all these things. Tony is in shock and denial of his mother passing. So right there are different types of feelings, different types of loss, and people feeling different things. Angela lost her brother. She is going through shock, bargaining, and acceptance. So she's going through all three at the same time. Mason is feeling numbness over the loss of his brother. So he's asking me if there was something wrong with him. I said, there's nothing wrong with that, because like I said, your body processes things differently. His feelings may be buried down deep, and he's not quite ready to deal with them. So I think with Mason, he has to dig deeper and harder to figure out how to deal with those feelings. Chloe is dealing with numbness and denial. So Chloe, I think, she is having a hard time dealing with her emotions and doesn't want to believe that that person is gone. So, she's going to go through numbness and denial. So that's what she is feeling. And then the next one was, I had been keeping updates on how everybody was feeling. So this next one is, people dealing with loss in different ways. And these are like different things that we deal with. So Mason is still feeling numbness. Chloe is still feeling numbness and denial. Angela is acceptance and depression. So they're still feeling different things. Tony is denial and depression. Amy is acceptance, depression. And Ryan is also anger and depression. So he's still kind of grieving. Leo is acceptance and depression. Lisa is depression and anger. Me, I'm in pretty much depression and acceptance because I know that different people are going through a lot. And feelings may change. So I'm doing the videos on the different feelings and the different changes. So they're not going to feel the same way all the time. So they are going to keep feeling, they're going to keep going and dealing with things differently. Their emotions are going to keep changing until they finally come to that acceptance. But it's going to take a while. The grieving process is different for everyone. So let's say, your dad dies and it's been like maybe 2 years, a year and a half, possibly 3. And someone's like, oh, well, he died, get over it, accept it. And, it's been however many years, you need to move on. But the thing is, if you can't, you see, people can't make you feel, they can't stop you from grieving. Your body is going to go through that process. And you still may be grieving, but maybe not grieving as bad. It may take people longer to grieve than other people. And I think a lot of people need to realize that. For me, my family, I have siblings and my parents and all that. And we had a death in the family. And they're like, okay, well, they passed. Now get over it. Well, me, I'm the type of person who process death differently. And it takes me longer to deal with the processing and to deal with those feelings. It takes me a long time. And so, and it's not okay for people to say that to a person who's grieving, and so it's not going to mean be like, okay, go to the person and say, okay, well, so-and-so died, get over it, That doesn't help the person. It just makes the person feel worse. So you never want to say that to somebody. And I believe my husband's up. Because he's got an appointment, so he's got to get up and get ready for the day. And but like I was saying, if someone's grieving, don't give them a hard time about it. Because like I said, people grieve in different ways, and they may not be over grieving it. I mean, you may be grieving, but then you accept the person gone, and you may process things differently. But if the person's still grieving, leave them be, and let them grieve. Don't give them a hard time about their grieving. And that is the reason why, part of the reason why I started these videos is because, hold on one second. I got fish sticks that need to come out of the oven, and I will be right back.
Keep talking, I got them.
Okay. I'm live streaming. So, but anyway, so that is what's happening. So, but yeah. So, but yeah, don't let people tell you what you're feeling, and don't let them give you a hard time, like I said. But like I was saying, I deal with things differently, and I felt like doing this video was probably a good idea, because so that way you guys know how I process through things, and that I can help you guys any way that I can to process through things. So, and the other thing I wanted to talk about is there are healthy ways to deal with things, and then there are non-healthy ways to deal with things. So, I got two stories here for you guys, and it is I want to say, okay, so Stephanie had lost her mother. So Stephanie is grieving, and she said, so her advice is allow yourself to feel and welcome your body, its feelings, meaning let your emotions feel what you feel with your emotions. And then it says rest your body. I was very lucky to I was very lucky that I could take time off of work. Her work was flexible. And then she said after her mother died, she was able, and she had a wonderful friend who helped her with that. And then they helped her provide her with support, and she had an amazing friend. So basically, there are, healthy ways to deal with things. She said, embrace the mysteries. We won't truly understand, and the times that there is no good answer to why. So basically, like, their death is a mystery, and trying to find answers why. You're not gonna find the answers, so it's gonna stay a mystery. But her processing that will help her on that. So basically, not only that, but Stephanie is doing a memorial for her mother. She is raising awareness to her mother's illness, and she is actually doing some other things in her mother's memory. Stephanie is going to grief counseling, and she is doing a group on how to deal with grief. So basically, Stephanie is taking all the right steps on how to process her grief healthy. So this next one is a non-healthy way, which is, so this guy Roger, he buries his feelings. He's not processing his feelings. He's using drugs, he's drinking, he's not seeking out support. He's telling people he's fine when he's not, and so he's basically avoiding his feelings. He's avoiding his family. And he's not willing to deal with his feelings. So that is a non-healthy way of dealing with it. So going back to Mason, so there is a healthy way of dealing with it. So there's a difference between numbness and avoidance. The numbness, you are processing and you're grieving, but your body chose a different way to process everything. With Roger, he is choosing to avoid. He doesn't want to deal with the feelings, so he's pushing his feelings aside. That is one of the things that he shouldn't be doing, but that's what he is doing, and that is not helping Roger at all. So the next two stories I have are another couple of things. So Alice is grieving, but she's doing it in a healthy way. She's going to group therapy or counseling. She's doing a memorial and memory. She's talking to friends and family, letting herself feel her emotions, try not to make any major changes right away. Talking or taking care of herself, asking for help if she needs the help. So that is one of the things that Alice is doing to help herself grieve and deal with everything. And she's getting support. John is dealing with things in a non-healthy way. So John has been avoiding his family. John has buried his feelings, not wanting to deal with loss. He has been gambling, starting pushing people and family away. John has started drinking and numbing his feelings with with drinking. So, like I said, those are the two, so healthy. I was talking about healthy ways. I'm not going to get through all of the stuff and to being to doing things a non-healthy way. I'm not going to get through all that either. But I do think that there is a difference between numbness and avoidance. Like I said, numbness, you're still feeling, but your body is processing things differently. So maybe you're feeling like one feeling at a time, or you're processing, you may be grieving in other ways besides the normal grieving, or your body is blocking things that you don't want to feel yet. So that's what kind of numbness does. And it's actually pretty normal for people to feel that. But the thing is, the difference between that and avoiding is you don't want to feel your feelings, so you're avoiding them. You don't, and but those are the different things that So it's not healthy. So not getting help, burying your feelings, and so that's one thing you shouldn't do. You gotta let your body feel. You gotta go through the process. Even if it takes a while to deal with those feelings. So like with Mason, he said that, when his mother died, he cried and he grieved for weeks, like maybe months or maybe even longer. When his brother died, he actually cried a little bit, but then couldn't feel any other emotion at all because his body felt numb. Well, I think there is a difference, because for someone who gives birth to you and you have that connection, you are going to grieve them differently because they're a parent or whatever. And then, like, if a sibling or someone passes away, or friend, family, whatever, you're not that close. Well, like, you have a connection, but you're not that close. So yes, you may process that death differently. But that doesn't mean that you're not grieving or dealing with a loss. It's just your body is processing it differently. And that you're trying to figure out how to process it. You probably don't know what I mean, but I'm trying to think of another way to explain it. I can't think of another way to explain it. But yeah, so your body, like I said, people process things differently, and your body will process things differently. And you may grieve for people differently. And like I said, that is perfectly normal. So with me, like when my grandparents died, I grieved. I cried a lot. And I was close to my grandparents. But when I had, other family members that died, like uncles or whatever, that passed away, I had a hard time grieving, so I couldn't grieve because I didn't know them. So, well, I knew them, but I never met them before, so we never really bonded. So I really didn't have any of those feelings for them. So that's the reason why I don't think I really grieved for them, because I didn't have that kind of connection. I mean, yes, I miss them. And yes, I probably will, and I may think about them. But I feel bad for my parents or my mom or my dad, whoever lost that person. But for me, when I had a friend of mine died, I cried for a while because she was gone. But then and then I stopped crying, and then I was like, okay, well, I let all my feelings out, and now I can't cry anymore. And I think it's because I processed through all my feelings all at once. And then, but like I said, that goes to, your body dealing with things in different ways and grieving differently. It could be a cat. You lose your cat, you cry for a bit, then you don't, and then you're like, okay, well, I lost it. Just because they're a pet doesn't mean they're just a pet. They're a family member. And yes, you're going to grieve over them. But I may get into a video on pets, loss, grief later on down the line. So we'll deal with that later. But right now, and the other types of grief, but right now, dealing with family members and loss, not everyone's going to feel the same. And so, me and my brother, we had lost an aunt, I think, when I was living at home. And I was grieving badly, and he wasn't really grieving much, but he couldn't understand why I was grieving so much. And it was because, I knew I wasn't going to see her again. I knew I was going to miss her. we weren't that close, but we did do a lot of things together. We were at family gatherings. We did a lot of family things together. So we somewhat bonded, but my brother's like, okay, well, she's gone, get over it. Well, just because you processed and accepted it doesn't mean I'm going to process and accept it the same way. I grieve differently. It takes me longer to grieve. So that's the reason why I say, if someone's grieving, don't give them a hard time about grieving. So, because that makes things harder for that person. And if the person's still grieving, be supportive. Figure out what you can do for that person. Don't be negative and say get over it. Say, what can I do? What can I do to help? Is there something I can do to help you with that? Being more positive to that person may get a better reaction out of that person. But like I said, I do have a few other things, but I might cut this part short because I gotta eat, and my husband has an appointment coming up at in an hour, and so I want to give myself time to eat. And plus, like I said, I got staff coming in, and we're going to be going out. So I have been on this since, I want to say, 11 o'clock or 11:30. So we've been on here a little bit for a while anyway. And we did do a lot of topics. But the reason why I saved this for last is because I know that I wanted to talk about this topic more. I want to get more into the topic and to stick with this particular topic and telling you a lot of things. So I do have a few papers that I may do a different video. I might do this on just like my regular video. So what are the different ways of dealing with grief and loss? What are some particular ways to deal with loss and ways to deal with grief? And then coping with grief and loss. So we are going to, some of these might be the same, some of these might be different than what I've done. I may not do these on here only because I only got so much time before I have to get out of here, and I still gotta finish getting ready. But I do want to thank people for their time on this. I know I've been rambling, and I do apologize for the rambling and for adding things on here that I didn't put in the description below. So these are different topics and different things. But I am kind of happy that I did cover advocating for yourself, talking about dealing with changes and dealing with loss. I feel like these are the three important topics that I did want to talk about. I am going to end this video for now. I may do another live stream later. I'm not sure, or I might do it tomorrow or this weekend. I am trying to get used to live streaming because at first, you saw my first video, I was fumbling so bad because I was so nervous. And then the other couple of videos I've done was trying to get used to the video, to doing some videos. So I'm still nervous on doing live streaming. So as you saw, I was a little bit all over the place today because I wasn't sure on how I was on this. So again, I apologize for the being all over the place. And so when I pulled out the papers that I wanted to talk about, those kind of helped me stay on key a little bit, somewhat. But yeah, I need to learn how to read my own writing. Holy crap. Or I need to learn how to do my letters better. Because then I get confused. I can't read my own writing. It's crazy. So anyway, like I said, we are going to end this video here. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me. I'm pretty much on an open book on every topic that we talked about here. And I do apologize for the rambling. I do apologize for the stuffy nose kind of thing. I have no idea what's going on. And I do apologize for the breaks, the bathroom breaks and the error, all that. No idea what happened there. All right, so I am going to end this right now. And I will see you guys on the next video. I may be doing another live one, or it might be one of my other videos that I do. But I do plan on doing these three, talking about these three. I am putting on, sorry, I'm supposed to be ending here. I am putting on my Valentine's Day videos. So those are going on right now. And then I'm going to edit more videos and take everything that's on my computer off. And then I can take the stuff that's on my video camera, put it on here, edit, and put those videos out. Okay. Sorry, I'm going off topic. I need to get off this computer. So, bye guys. I'll see you in the next one. Like I said, any comments, questions, if you want to add your story on here to let me know what you, how things, if you want to add your own story on here to let me know your story, that's okay. If you have any questions, let me know. Any comments, good or bad. If it's a bad review, please keep it respectful. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.